Okay, so today is Thursday, March 18th of the Catholic Church Gregorian calendar. Yeah, the calendar was made by the Catholic Church. If you didn't know that. So every time you open up the calendar or you look up on it, you'll be like, oh yeah, today's Monday, Tuesday, that's all Catholic. It's a Catholic belief. Those other calendars before the Gregorian calendar came out. Matter of fact, a lot of the other calendars are way more accurate. So let's talk about gravity, the magical force. We're gonna talk about gravity because it seems that a lot of you globies don't understand how science works. Like when you start talking about science, you don't just talk about the concept itself. You also discuss the history of it. So you have to go back to study and research the history of how it came to be, or how someone, why it was made up and whatnot. So as we're talking about this, we have to go back all the way and talk about the people that invented gravity. And as we go to talk about the people, you have to take into consideration their beliefs and who they are and what they were doing and what were their intentions. That's all part of it. You can't sit there and say, I've heard it before, oh, that's a character assassination. It's not looking at the evidence, it's just looking at the person. Yeah. Because I could easily make a convincing argument that that is not a good way to debate. To sit there and say, oh yeah, you attacked the person and not the concept. Like, no. I could easily bring up tons of examples where the person is a great speaker, awesome speaker, you know what I mean, and they make convincing arguments themselves. That whatever ideology they're pushing, they're good at it, right? And that's as simple. I could bring up Jim Jones, Hitler, Charles Manson. These are great speakers, and they were able to convince people of what their ideology was. So you can't sit there and say that we can't attack the person that made something up, because we can. There's no rules to debate. Now I know you guys will be like, oh no, there's rules to debate. No, there isn't. Okay, you can't tell me how I'm gonna prove you wrong. It doesn't work like that. Okay, you can't tell me like, oh, there's rules on how you can prove me wrong, so you can't prove me wrong like that. No, it doesn't work like that. All right. So let's go back to gravity, and the person that was credited for this was Isaac Newton, and we all know about Isaac Newton already. I've talked enough about him, and I put his information on blast enough. Like I said, I used to be a hardcore globie. And I was more of a Newtonian than into Einstein. I know so much more about Isaac Newton than I do about Einstein. And I can tell you right now that Isaac Newton was not brilliant, intelligent, as he's portrayed in school where you're being indoctrinated. Now I get it. You're like, no, it's in school. It's in school. Okay. But look, if you had a curriculum is made so kids can grow up to become adults and follow that belief system that's running reality at that current time. So you have a bunch of kids going to school and they're worshiping and believing that a schizophrenic tweaker that was mentally ill, okay, was some type of brilliant genius. So you have a bunch of kids growing up worshiping dumb, stupid people. Okay, so as these kids get older and become adults, they're easy to manipulate because their whole lives they have assumed that some dumb idiot was some type of brilliant person, which he wasn't. Okay, first and foremost, Isaac Newton never did a science experiment, okay, in regards to gravity. He was more of an alchemist, and he was hardcore into alchemy. He had it was dark energy, black magic, incantations, trying to turn lead into gold, trying to turn precious metals, trying to turn worthless metals into precious metals. So what he wanted to do was literally bankrupt the Catholic Church and take over it. He wanted to take over the Catholic Church because he had his own beliefs. His own beliefs went on to, go apocalyptic beliefs. All right, let's go to that one. 2060, according to Isaac Newton, he predicted that in 2060 everything was going to end. Okay, he made his own apocalypse. He claimed to be a Catholic, right? And but yet he made up his own. He went against most of the Bible, and he used the Bible to his own advantage. He made up this 2060 apocalypse where Jesus is gonna come back from wherever he's at, and then he's gonna grab all the sinners and throw them into a lake of fire. And it's just a horrible apocalyptic story. And look, it's not the story, it's not the Revelation apocalypse from the Bible. In fact, there's a bunch of apocalyptic stories, and when they made the Bible, they threw a lot of those out. Revelation is not the only apocalyptic type book. Matter of fact, there's the Book of Apocalypse. Okay, the Book of Apocalypse was removed from the Bible by the Catholic Church because the ending was not bad. So the way that story ends is that God puts everyone to sleep. Everyone just goes to sleep, to some type of sleep, and then that's it. Existence ends right there, and everyone just sleeps. That actually makes more sense than like a lake of fire or like brimstone and all that other stuff. So yeah, there's different apocalyptic books, and Newton tried to make his own. In fact, Newton had told everyone that he was a prophet of God, that God sent him to Earth, to the globe, to bring us messages, and he believed he was like a divine messenger. Okay, he made up all kinds of weird religious things, and gravity would be one of them. Now, going to gravity, his explanation is that you have a mass. Okay, this mass is right here, right? So this mass pulls other masses. That's it. Basically, magnetism. He's describing magnetism is what he was doing. It's pulling. Mass attracts mass. No, it doesn't. We could do all kinds of experiments where you put a little bowling ball next to a marble. The marble will never roll to the bowling ball unless it's inclined. So that doesn't make sense. So that, and when you would ask Isaac Newton, when you would ask him what is the cause to all that, he would say it's God. So when they would say, I released this lighter. Okay, I released a lighter, and it falls. That's called falling. Okay, Globies? Look, it's falling. Okay, that's falling. All right. So when you would ask Newton that, he would say that the lighter would move from here to here because God used gravity, and that God kept planet Earth, or the globe Earth, together using gravity. That was Isaac Newton's explanation to gravity, for reals. And so moving on into the future, it just doesn't make sense. People are just not going for that. As a matter of fact, they're starting to turn on the whole religion thing. And so then you have a bunch of new scientists that came around, and they started making their own gravities. As of right now, there's like 6-7 gravities. I could look them all up and put their names. I could put the names of the scientists and the differences between the gravities, and that's what I'm going to explain right now. But I'm only going to explain Einstein and Newton. All the other gravities are even weirder than these two. So we already know that Isaac Newton was mentally insane. Okay, he was schizophrenic. He was mentally disturbed. He attacked his own mom. He believed he was a religious messenger of God. All that kinds of weird stuff. So, and we know that he would say that gravity was, that God was the cause of gravity. And so then, hold on, let me get some water. So you move on into the future, and then we start seeing all these other scientists want to cling to this gravity concept because it's the best bet to save the globe model. And the globe model, we already know, is is directly tied to the rise of Western civilization. It's directly tied to it. First, from the Romans that fell, and then the Romans had actually got it from the Babylonians. I've already explained how that happened. It was Alexander the Great, the ancient school of Alexandria, Ptolemy, the Ptolemaic cosmology that put the globe in the center of the universe, and it kept everything revolving around the globe. And then Newton comes around and starts saying, because the Ptolemaic model it matches observable reality to a certain extent, right? So because it matches that, Newton came out with different concepts to try to match all that together, to unify it. And he started talking about the spinning globe and whatnot. And so they're saying that it was spinning, but as we step out here, we see that's not, like, we don't feel or see or nothing like that, right? We feel that we're standing still in motion. So that's the problem. It's like, why doesn't water fall off the globe and all these weird the facts, observable facts that a toy globe model does not work. First of all, okay, it's just a ball with paintings around it. They got, like, you put like little little mountains and little trees on it, and it's just a ball. It doesn't work. You can't grab it and put water and spin it. You can't put a hot iron core in the middle of it and put it all to work together. It doesn't work in reality at all, in any way or form. So you have to have these, like, justifications to push the rise of Western civilization further, to keep it from falling apart. And so they needed this gravity concept where everything is kept on a globe. So we already know that Newton had people were, like, turning on that. You can't say that. That's not science. When you start talking about God, that's not science. Newton himself said it wasn't science. He said it was a hypothesis that involved God, and that he himself would not be able to subscribe to such an ideology with such of a religious nature. He himself said that. So he didn't believe his own story. That's how insane he was. And let's go again. He was a tweaker. He was on drugs. He was totally twacked out of his mind. Okay? As a Catholic Church member, you're not allowed to do black magic spells or alchemy or incantations. You're not allowed to do any of that stuff, right? So what you do is you go into a cellar and you hide, and you hide in this little corner or somewhere, and where no one can see you. And then you start doing these alchemy experiments, and the byproducts of these alchemy experiments were toxic fumes and whatnot. And that was in the air, and he was breathing this stuff in while he was doing chemistry and all that. I mean, basically, that's one of those, like, a methamphetamine cook that's trying to cook methamphetamine in a small little trailer or something. All right, it's gonna fuck you up. the fumes, the gases, it's toxic. The lack of clean, fresh air. Like, that was Newton. He was hiding in a cellar, doing some weird stuff with chemicals, and he's all messed up. Okay? That's probably why he was schizophrenic and had mental issues. But actually, he had that as a child too. So yeah. So moving forward into time, you have all these other new scientists. They try to come up, and I'm not gonna bring them all up. Like I said, there's about 6 to 7 different gravities, and I'll post, after this gets posted, I'll post their names, the links, and all that, so you guys could look it up. Matter of fact, a couple years back, 2 or 3 years ago, one of the mainstream scientists in these times, 2 or 3 years ago, said that gravity wasn't real. It was a phenomenon. So a lot of people are, like, saying that, yeah, now gravity is just a phenomenon. It's not even a thing. It's just phenomenal. Like, they can't explain it, right? So, so, so it's not proven. If it was proven, we would still be talking about, Newton and Einstein would have never came up in Newton. Einstein would have never been brought up if the Newtonian gravity, which they call classical, okay, that's the reason why they call it that. If that had actually been proven, nobody else would have tried making all these other gravities up. Right? To this day, people are trying to make up their own gravity. Like I said, there's like 6 or 7 well-known types of gravities, and I'll post the links, like I said, to those. But right now, we're gonna only talk about Einstein. So here comes Einstein. Yeah, he was religious, not to the point where he would go to Sunday, Catholic mass. he didn't do that. His God was a god of Spirito or something like that. Like I could put his I could put the link of who Einstein idolized. Okay, so everyone has idols, right? So Einstein at the time idolized this philosopher from back in the days. He also idolized Tesla, by the way. Tesla, by the way, didn't like Einstein. He really disliked him. Tesla had so much bad things to say about Einstein. It's comical. You guys have to go back and look that up. So okay, so let's move back. So Newton said God is gravity. Einstein's like, no. It's not mass pulling on mass creating a ball. It's not that. Einstein started talking about space-time curvature. Okay? And it's not a force. Okay? It's not a force. So gravity has been excluded as a force now because of Einstein. So Einstein introduces space-time curvature. A lot of you don't even know what that means. You just blab it out and just say it and recite it. I'll tell you what it is. It's space pushing down on everything. That's what he meant. Space pushes on anything. If there's mass or matter, if there's about matter, the mass of space pushes it together. That's space-time curvature. The space and space-time, which is one thing. It's not. Newton says time and space. Okay? Einstein says space-time. They're not the same thing. Okay? One of them is like, okay, what I see right now in front of me is only what I'm seeing. It's not what you're seeing. Okay? You're somewhere somewhere else experiencing something else, and what I seen happen didn't happen for you at all. It didn't happen in your universe. It didn't happen in your reality. Okay? The other one is like, I sat there and watched that. It doesn't matter where you're at. You could be somewhere else. I seen that happen, and that's how it happened. Okay? That's the difference between those two. All right? Space-time and space. So Einstein was talking about space-time, where he combined space and time as one type of concept, and this concept supposedly pushes down on everything. Okay. Now here's the thing: if space is out, like, where's the edge of space to actually compress everything? And what is space being compressed by? Fail. It's just one stupid story after the other. Why? To supposedly justify a globe model that came from pagans and was adopted by the Catholic Church. Matter of fact, the Catholic Church adopted Ptolemy's cosmology and enforced it with horrible, gruesome deaths, murders. The way they would torture people. And back then, humans didn't have materialistic items like we do today, right? So back then, people would be like, I'm not going to believe what you're telling me to believe, because belief was everything. Beliefs were more powerful back then than this materialistic type of reality that we're living in right now. So to tell someone that they had to believe something, they'd rather die. So a lot of people died horrible deaths because the Catholic Church was like, say it's a globe, say it's a globe, and when everything revolves around the globe, and then they were killing people. That lasted for a whole 1,000 years. Okay. Then come Copernicus. Copernicus was a Catholic canon. Okay. Galileo was hardcore Catholic, both of them. Okay. Heliocentricity is the worship of Helios. That's saying Helios centricity. That means Helios is in the middle and everything revolves around Helios. That's literally a way to worship a god. So, that's a sun worshiping cult. All right. So this whole thing about globes and celestial spheres goes back before this whole concept of gravity, and that's the reason why gravity was used as a justification. To this day, gravity is not proven. And okay, guys, it's not proven, Globies. It's not. It's a hypothesis, and beyond a hypothesis, it's multiple